So one of my closest friends from high school actually ended up getting married and then ended up getting divorced within a few years. And what he was saying was that as this divorce happened, as he thought his life was complete, one of his parents actually got sick and died. And during that time, he actually hated his job and had planning to leave that forever. So he was planning to leave this job. He lost the woman in his life that was like his version of a rock and one of his parents. And it was around this time where he realized that all of these things detonated his life because those external sources were sources of security and safety for him. And years later, as we spoke, we both realized that the thing that really humans use the most to feel good is crutches. There are these things outside of us that make us feel stable and sane. But what happens when you lose those things? Now in this video, I want to share some really interesting experiments you can run either today or tomorrow to help you understand just how much you rely on these things to feel good and how you can be free. What's up guys, Alex Hine, author of the book Master the Day. Now I've included a free download there below, which is for a free journaling worksheet to help you plan out your most epic life ever. So if you check that out, the first link in the description, you will also get an email every couple days to help you reinvent your life. So the first question I want to start you with here is, what crutches make you feel safe internally? You know, I came up with a list of 5 things that I've used in my life and I see other people using to feel good. And if you remove these things, people get weird internally. So tell me how many resonate. The first thing I've noticed is that people use stimulation. You know, if I'm at home alone and I feel uncomfortable, lonely, bored, weird, sad, whatever, I can put on a YouTube video. I can pull up my phone. I can eat food. Stimulation is one way we don't deal with ourselves. The second thing is consumption. So bored eating is one of the epidemics of our time with all this available food, and people are more overweight than ever, pretty much worldwide. So are you working on that boring work project or studying that boring class and you're eating all the time or drinking 5 cups of coffee just because it's a boredom trigger? That's boredom. The third thing is people. A lot of us, when we're feeling weird or bored or lonely, are addicted to people. The most obvious example of this is people who chronically date just to fill their evening hours, because if they didn't do that, they would feel depressed or anxious, or the evenings would be weird. Like, what do I do from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m.? So we fill our lives with people. The fourth thing is pleasure. So let's just say you're alone, you're kind of moved to a new city, you're bored, you don't have any friends, any family. What do? Maybe you go eat, maybe going to the gym is pleasure. Maybe you're a drug addict. Maybe pleasure is sleeping longer hours. There's so many ways pleasure can come into the picture, fun, video games, etc. But pleasure by itself can be another way we don't deal with ourselves. And the last is the tried and true, typically of men throughout the world in history, of work. In fact, for me, this has been my biggest thing for the last decade, working way longer hours, like 60 hours a week or 70, because it fills the void and makes that boredom, that blah about life, easier to deal with. Because you're occupied, you're stimulated, you're doing something. So you don't have to think about that feeling you get when you're not working towards a goal. Now here's the question for you. What would happen if you lost every one of those? What would happen if you were not allowed to eat, to use your phone, to have technology, to reach out to a human being on earth, to play a video game, to have sex, consume any drug or substance that alters your state? You couldn't read a book, you couldn't go for a walk. What would happen if you lost all of those crutches, right? Because all of these things, they're not evil, they're not good or bad, they're just things we use to regulate our state internally. But what would happen if you lost all those? If, like my friend, you were out of shape, you are unhappy already, you lose your partner, you lose your parent, and then suddenly you feel like your whole life has been detonated. Then what? What do you use to make yourself feel good? And that's why I want to introduce this 24-hour experiment. So your 24-hour experiment here is very simple. For one 24-hour period, you have to remove the following things from your life ideally on a weekend day where you have the time, and just observe your internal state. Okay? So you're going to remove the ability to purchase anything. Can't purchase food, can't purchase coffee, can't purchase a book. You cannot see any friends or family. You cannot work, you cannot read, you cannot consume anything. You cannot pursue a hobby or an interest, and you cannot use your phone, TV, computer, or any electronic device, including listening to music. So you have this weekend day, and every time you want to reach for something, you're forbidden from it. And I'm going to leave you here because I want you to do this and let me know what you experience in your life. Because what I guarantee you will spot, first of all, is how much we lack the inner freedom when we're always looking for something else to fill the boredom void, the loneliness void, the sadness void, the insomnia void, the I'm hungry void. All these things we use to feel good eventually get taken away. Sometimes it's by death, sometimes it's something that goes on in life, sometimes it's bankruptcy, sometimes it's an illness, sometimes your friend group just goes their separate ways and that void comes in. But just try for 24 hours to do this experiment where you introduce yourself to yourself again, and you will observe the void and understand why it is you do the things that you do. And it's going to be a really fulfilling, rewarding experience going forward in life, because one day those things will be taken from you, and it's not going to be at a convenient time, at a good time, at a time that was really great for you because life was going great in this domain, but this domain imploded. So when you do it now, you'll have some experience of what it means to be freedom, that inner freedom, not dependent on other things. All right, guys, deep video. I hope it helps. Very, very, very important, especially if you're going through bad times or good times. The first link in the description is for a free journaling worksheet. You'll also get a journaling email every few days on how to use journaling to totally reinvent your life. So you can check it out, the first link in the description, and then my last recent video is right over yonder.